Hey, my friends, Randy here, Source One Marketing, ibuyfromrandy.com, and your host for Building Wins Live. And so today we have Tom Ginn, or we thought we had Tom Ginn, and he still may pop in, but we seem to have had a little miscommunication or hiccup, which happens when you're doing live shows. So no biggie. We're going to be right back in a minute though, because my friend, my pal, my brother, and my buddy. I think I got them all. My producer of Best Building Wins Live, Wes Wyatt, is going to chat for a few minutes, and we'll see if Tom shows up. If not, I'm sure we'll get some brilliance out of my friend Wes. So don't go away. We'll be right back. There he is.
Hey, Randy.
How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing dynamite. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. You look so high tech there with all your fancy equipment in the background. You'd almost think you did this stuff for a living or something. You know what?
It's just a background. That's a green screen.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that stuff's not real.
I thought about if I could figure if I was smart as you and all this stuff, I would I figure out how to do that so that when I'm goofing off and I have a Teams or a Zoom meeting, I could just pop that up in the background of my car, right? Like I'm in the car with traffic and everything and traffic sounds and everybody just thinking I could be like doing it from the beach or something, right?
Right. Yeah, just throw a beach background up there. I actually have a beach background, but I'd have to be on the other system in order to show it.
Okay. So, well, thanks for stepping in. I mean, you I think you did about 3 of your own shows today. I think I tried to catch everything you're doing. You're cranking up the old virtual yourself, not only behind the camera but in front of the camera, aren't you?
Yeah, I got to tell you, Randy, this is something that would be a great topic for discussion today, and I actually went over it in a couple of the messages that I said, and I forget where I said it, who I said it to, but I'll say it here as well for you, and that is getting started a lot of times is without a doubt the worst thing. That the thing that if you don't put a date to it and just start doing it. You probably never will, and these ones that you do in the beginning are always the worst, right. So they just progressively get better and better and better. And, if you have a situation like today where wires get crossed, you just run with it. I mean, that's just what professionals do. But it was kind of funny because I was listening to a show that talking about podcasts and how the top people are considered. And today I actually had said that I thought that there were, like maybe 800,000 or so. I said thousands and thousands of podcasts. I looked it up today, and it looks like there are between 2 and about 2.5 million podcasts that are out there right now. But the thing about it is, of the podcasts that are out there, only about 85 or 15% of the people out of all the podcasts that are out there update their podcasts. So consistency and just getting started and having that action and that energy. Benjamin Franklin said that energy and persistence conquer all things. Right. So you got to figure that if you have that energy or that action and that persistence or that consistency to get out there and just do it and to continue to do it, next thing you know, you're on your way to being an influencer.
Right. Well, you certainly are, and in a thing that I know a lot of people do their podcasts. They do all those kind of things on their own, which obviously they can. You do yours on your own, but that's because you're a pro to begin with. But the smartest thing that I did when I decided to do this was to get involved with somebody like yourself, because if you don't have the technical background, that can scare you. And that was the biggest thing from my standpoint that was the most scary, if you will. I mean, I talk to people for a living. I mean, that's what I do. I talk to groups sometimes. I make presentations, small, medium size. I don't say large, but several hundred people here and there. That stuff doesn't bother me. My message doesn't bother me. I'm comfortable with making delivering a message. The part that bothers me is if something starts going haywire from a technological standpoint. I'm just going to go, I guess I'm done because, right? Thanks. See ya. And so you wouldn't believe the comfort level that it brings me to know that I don't have to worry about that. That I know even when you're not on with me and you're in the background, I know you're just one click of the button away. And that's, for folks that maybe watching or catch this on replay that want to start doing some of these things on their own. Because I want to talk about in a minute your opinion on how these can be force multipliers. But I'd say is if you need a Wes, unless you're very proficient yourself already in the technology. But even with that, I found that I think as you get talking with guests, you get engaged, and people knows I'm making notes usually with guests because I want to circle back to something they said. It's awful hard to keep that engagement, I think, with a guest and still figure about, well, I got to bring this promo up for next week. I've got to bring this website now. Those are way too many things for the average guy that's not a professional director, right? Is that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. And by the way, first and foremost, Randy, I want to thank you so much for the kudos. They are not falling on a deaf ear. I can't thank you and anybody else that I help. The kudos that I get, for the things that I do. It's what I do, and I don't discount the skills that are involved. It's just what seems hard to some people. For whatever reason, it just fits with me. I can't explain what it is. I mean, it's kind of like Matt Damon walking up to the chalkboard in, Good Will Hunting and being able to solve that cuckoo problem. This stuff just it works for me, And by the way, I am not even remotely close to that sort of level, but I just love it. I mean, and I think that's the funniest thing. You can't see it in this room, but there's a lot of lights, and especially on this side that you don't see, and those lights are on timers, and you're going to meet her here on Monday. But my beautiful wife, Jules, if those lights didn't go off, I would literally keep working. And, that really has never been a problem in my entire life. I've been one of these guys that, was constantly looking at the clock and, trying to figure out, when the work day was going to end or when lunch was or whatever the case may be. And I lose hours, blocks of time and days, blocks of time, sometimes working, doing this stuff because I quite literally love it.
Right. Well, and I can see that because I see you popping on some nights at like 10 p.m. or something, still in the war room, putting out another podcast, right? And you don't do those sort of things in any profession, I guess, if you will, unless you found a love for the game, right? And I think that's important because if you get if you develop a love for the game, whatever it is, you work more than people that probably have to work sometimes, but you don't feel like you work at all, right? And I know that's my gig with the sales rep stuff that I do. That I mean, there's weeks that's easy 70 hours a week, 80 hours a week, especially with flights and rental cars and driving late into the evening to be where you need. But you know what? I could do more, because it's just fun and it's part of the game, right? And I can tell that you have a love for that game and maybe someday I'll be 1% as good on air as you are, but you
get better.
You got a good. But I wanted to touch base for a couple seconds, because you talk about, and I know is a passion for you to be involved in this sort of stuff, and a lot of people I think may look at doing podcasts and vodcasts and new video and whatever it is as just a waste of time or just something that doesn't really matter. What really good does it do? And I'm always looking for force multipliers. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this because, you can only be so many places at any given time. And literally, as you and I were doing pre-show, you were doing things, getting ready for next week's show, getting a promo ready for our guests next week, doing the stuff that you were doing, right? You and I are chatting, but in the interim, literally up until you said, okay, Randy, I'm going to run your bumper now, I'm still doing text with customers, right? And so I can do that stuff, but I can do these things, and it's just force multiplies Randy, I guess, the Randy Inc., as I like to look at it, right? I mean, everything I do, I have my rep agency, and I have Building Wins Live and all these things that I do, but it's all geared around that one thing, which is Randy Inc., right? And I think that I don't think in today's world of virtual, of these kind of things, we're ever going to go backwards, right? I mean, this is a forward moving process, not a backward moving process. Do you agree?
I agree 1,000%. And there's two things I want to point out, Randy, and I just launched a new podcast. The podcast is called Market You First. And the reason it's called that is because I love the people that are brand ambassadors, that are those evangelistic people for the service that they provide. One of our friends, Eric Bam, Tim, Lord that we know. I mean, I have so many of them in my life that I just had to put out something that would go out there and allow me to edify people like that, because what you do is so rare and so needed in this world, that when I forget which week it was, but several weeks ago, you and I spoke, and you said that you have built your business on loyalty and handshakes and going around and talking to people, and probably there's many people who you talk to, quite possibly 3 generations. You may have dealt with their grandfather, their father, and now their kids, and you've
Right.
done that all on handshakes. It's so rare. Now, on the same note, those same people can ruin that with one incident, but you don't, and so that idea, that esprit de corps of being someone that goes out and goes above and beyond to where people buy them and not their product, is such a rare commodity, that I commend you on that. I love that about you. But the second thing that you just said about not going backward, this pandemic that we're experiencing caused a lot of wacky stuff to happen. One of which being video. Video becomes so strong. You've seen everybody and their brother on video. And there was a time in my past where I worked for 1-800-Flowers, and they're one of their subsidiaries called the Popcorn Factory, I think is what it was called. And if you had a dog bark, a doorbell ring, a burp, if you had a chair squeak, the next call you got after a customer was a supervisor telling you that is not going to happen again. Well, guess what? Now,
Really?
fast forward, there's kids walking in the background. You got a husband in his underwear. I mean, video has become a mainstay. And there was a time when they said it couldn't be done. Okay, there was no way in heck that they were going to be able to have the VPN, the files at home, the security. But when that pandemic hit, they found a way. It just, miraculously was able to be done. Well, now we're starting to go into a situation where, with different variants and offshoots of what was there, not to mention what could come in the future, there's a real good chance that we're going to still be doing something like this. So if you're a pioneer that has kind of went out, I know that you were an old, professed road warrior. But when it hit, as opposed to staying home and sitting on your hands, you said, how can I get out to the people that I need to still see? And, that's when Randy 2.0, 2.5 Hybrid Amazing was born, So I don't think it's a fad. I don't think that we're going back. I think that there's going to be a lot of people that take over this space. And unfortunately, much like the podcasting that I told you about, it's going to be a situation where the strong will survive and the people that keep going and doing it are going to own it. And is it a force multiplier? Absolutely. Because what happens is this digital real estate that you create in the form of podcasts, these videos, a post, a blog post, a piece of collateral that you create that just further sells that Randy and why you need me, as opposed to just whatever it is you sell. It lives out there. It's a living, breathing thing that it doesn't ask for a day off. It works 24/7, 365, and it doesn't ask for more money. It just sits out there churning out people that they're going to find it and they're going to say, man, I'm seeing this guy everywhere. And it may be a situation that they don't need you right now, but when they do, boom, top of mind. So it's a force multiplier and then some.
Yes. Well, I'll put in a couple notes I made as you're talking. It's interesting. I find, you talk about, the husband walking in the background with his underwear and things. and I think you agree that, and a word that we all kind of kick around in some of our groups and stuff that we belong to is organic, right? I mean, and maybe I'm using the word right or wrong, but people want real as opposed to too much of a staged professional appearance, right? They just, I'm sitting here in my office in Northern Michigan. I mean, this is my office. I'll turn around and go to work if I get done, right? And it's not done with this, we do the bumper and we do some things because you want to dress it up and make it look good, right? But at the end of the day, I think that hiccup that somebody's kid walked in the door for a second, all that does is says, I just like this guy, this girl even more because they're real, as opposed to setting in a soundstage somewhere in Hollywood, right? I mean, I think people respond to that organic better. I assume you agree with that, but that's certainly my take. And what I think I was going to find, Wes, I want to hear what you say, but the thing, because I'll forget, is I find that the more organic, using that word if I'm using it right, of posts or videos that I do, the viewership is 10-1, 10x, 100x to a more polished, published one, if that makes sense. Some of the stuff that I think is, I throw it out there, that's pretty corny and hokey probably, but it's just something I had on my mind. I mean, it gets 10x more views than something that I spent 3 hours trying to make it like Hollywood, if you will. And so am I on the right track there? Or am I just nuts in my thinking?
Well, I do think you're
Wouldn't you say I'm nuts?
For a completely different reason than that thought.
Hey, I am buying dinner next Monday night, so watch yourself.
I've just went from steak to hamburger, and you're like, it's going to be a hot dog from a vendor here soon.
Yeah, it may be with no bun if you don't watch.
That's great. Well, the very first thing that I would tell you, Randy, is do you think I would use this mug? If I had a choice. I mean, I know that I'm no Brad Pitt. So the difference with a lot of people that are out there, when you're looking at a business card picture or a LinkedIn profile picture, it may give you an idea of that person. But the thing about video that I love so much is that it brings a reality to the situation that is just almost too good to pass up. So like, as an example, you and I met, a couple months ago in Cincinnati, when you met me, did I have like any different airs or any, I mean, other than the fact that I'm a gigantic human being that you can't tell on a screen. I mean, you knew what you were getting prior to meeting me. And I think
Right.
that is where, now granted, I could be leaning against a Lamborghini that I don't own. I could have money spread out on the bed that was my last, $1,000, and it wasn't even mine. It was a cash advance, and or I could be in front of a house that's not mine. The ability to catfish people and be fake is still there, but I think it adds just one more tinge of, okay, I think I know this person. It's kind of like that my story marketing, so yeah, I think that without a doubt, it adds something and gives you that extra little something that will kind of let people say, okay, I like that guy, or I dislike that
Yeah.
guy. I mean, that's the
Right.
beauty.
Well, and in my world of helping other people get what they want or need, i.e., sales. That's a little bit of an off take of a Zig Ziglarism, but I think he said it better and much more famously than I do. But uh, you people just want to buy from a normal, real person, and the more they know you, the more they're comfortable with buying from you. Because as a sales guy, you want to you need to stay out of the there's a triad, right? Price, quality, service. You got to stay out of it. It's always the price, because if you're always in the realm of it's always the price, either you're going to make no money or you're going to always lose. You can't always be selling on price. Well, if people learn to trust you and they learn to believe in you and they learn to believe that you're just the real deal, quirky, corny, weird, but and like you said, what you get on videos that I make, or when I do our podcast here, or when I guest on people's podcast, that's Randy. It'd be no different than if we're sitting together in a coffee shop. I know no different. I just be who I be, right? But I think that's what people want to see. And you hit on something a minute ago. I wanted to go back to, because what we do, these sort of things, they live forever. It's amazing, because I do not as much as you, but I do a fair amount of I have a fair amount of social media presence on a daily, weekly basis. A lot of it thanks to you, and just stuff that pops in my head and that I just do. But so I find myself thinking in the here and now a little more than in the past. But it's interesting to me. I saw just this morning, I was out on a walk. I did a little walk and talk from the bay. And that was a set and talk, actually, on the rock that my old age couldn't. I said, okay, next time, make sure this rock's another 6 inches taller, so you're not groaning and grunting as you get up. But anyway, I looked at a comment that popped through, and I go, oh, this is another one from, this. And it was one from a video that I did 12 weeks ago, probably. Somebody just finally happened to get around to seeing it. And that's, I think, what you hit on earlier is every one of these things that we do in a world of virtual, if you will, is out there forever, right? I mean, it serves you not just this week or just today and it's gone tomorrow. It serves you whenever somebody happens to like somebody, who befriends somebody, who all of a sudden gets your mug pops up, as a friend of somebody new, and then they go, oh, I'm going to look at this guy. So, I mean, it's kind of there forever, right? I guess was my long-winded point of all that.
Well, let me put it this way, Randy. If you had the ability to go out as a farmer and throw out one seed, or go out and throw out 1,000,000 seeds, which one would you choose? Okay. And I mean, the answer is a no-brainer. I mean, you choose the 1,000,000 seeds.
Right.
So that really is what it boils down to. It's kind of like there's a gentleman out there named Jeff Olson, and he talks about the slight edge. And what the slight edge is, and his book is called The Slight Edge, He says that it doesn't seem to make a difference in the act of doing it, but compounded by time makes all the difference in the world. Okay, it being whatever it is that you're trying to do. So you have
Mm-hmm.
what are called slight disciplines and slight errors in judgment. Or yes, so the slight disciplines. If you and I start off, and you are an avid walker, so this would be a great example, and I'm not, okay, but we decide that we're going to start walking. What happens is it starts here, okay, and it goes across a timeline for like say 3 to 6 months, all right, and both of us appear, during that time to run on a pretty normal, timeline. Well, if you're walking every day, you might start off and your feet might hurt. You might have some blisters. You might get some holes in your socks. Your shoes might start to get a little worn. You might start to see that you're losing a little bit of weight. Your diet is changing around a little bit during that 3 to 6 months. Okay. With me, I don't do a thing. Okay. I'm sedimentary. My shoes are fine. My socks are fine. My feet don't hurt. So everything's real easy for me, that 3 to 6. Okay. Well, then what happens is that timeline starts to split and do this. Okay. So as what was hard back here for you, okay, is now starting to get easier as it goes up. Okay. Now you're walking, 10 miles a day. Life is great. The feet don't hurt anymore. You have calluses where you used to have blisters, where you were heavy, you're light. Your diet has changed, and now it's, it doesn't even bother you anymore. When mine goes down, okay, I am from being sedimentary. Now I'm starting to get diabetes. My heart is hurting. The diet sucks. I have heartburn at night. And it just goes to show you that just the difference between just a very small amount of time, it's the same as doubling a penny every day for 30 days. Mm-hmm. The first 22 days, I don't even think you're over $10. Okay. But right. In the last like 8-10 days, it goes up to $10 million. Okay. So, what you got to figure, but if you stop any point in there, you have to start over again, and it screws you. Right. Okay. So what you got to figure is that when you're putting all those little things out there, every single little thing not only is a seed, but what happens is then that person comments on your stuff, and all of a sudden it sprouts and it starts to grow. Okay. And then someone else sees it because they brought new life to it, and it starts to grow, and it just keeps growing and growing. So it's kind of like when you're looking at an apple, you're not looking at an apple. You're looking at an entire orchard, really. I mean, because in it has right. the seeds to create another apple that will create more seeds. Okay. So you're holding an orchard in your hand. You just don't know it. Okay. And so if you're out there and you're putting all this stuff out there, just one little piece of digital real estate at a time, why would you not do that? I mean, you've got, newspaper in the form of blogs. Okay. You've got radio in the form of podcasts. You've got TV and movies in the form of video, and you've got press releases in the form of all the different social media. So you really have got every single thing that could ever promote you at your beck and call. Why would you not do that? The fact that people do what you do and what I do and what some of our friends do is, to me, it's like, well, of course I do it. Why wouldn't I? Why if I had the opportunity to go out there and build something, and for the most part free in a lot of sense, why would I not do that? But there's other people that will say that slight disciplines is what we're doing. They're doing slight errors in judgment. They're like, I don't get on Facebook. It's too political. I can't stand it. They let one person that says something stupid keep them from going out there and promoting themselves. Same thing with Twitter, YouTube, all the other things. So yeah, it's something that, I think that it keeps me up at night. It quite literally keeps me up. I'll lay in bed, and that's why you see me at 10 o'clock, because something will pop in my head. The kids and Jules have gone to bed, and I'm like, I'm going to go down there and put that idea to work.
Well, yep. I have a tendency to, I'm constantly making notes in my notes on my phones about things. Well, look, for example, and we have family here this week, so I'm kind of working more closer from home. But what the beauty is with that still is I can reach thousands of people still working from home, uh, in which is never a substitute in my world to being there face to face. But in the interim times between, if I'm not there face to face, there's really nothing really other than a quick phone call, which like, you know, so what? You know, I mean, now I'm able to jump on here and talk to lots of people. I'm able to shoot out, do a video or do a walk and talk. But what I find is that it's not that hard to do a lot of those things, because if you're doing it raw and organic, if you will, uh, I've already thought about Monday morning, because I'm coming to see you and the lovely Jules on Monday afternoon and evening, have some dinner and break bread and wine or something together. Maybe all I could afford is the bread, but we'll see. Anyway, but you know, I'm going to see a few people on the way down, but I've already got an idea in my head for my hashtag Road Warrior Randy concept that probably about 30 seconds out of the driveway, I got my little mount in my car, right? And I'll either do a video and post it, or I'll do a live, whatever pops in my head. I don't always pre-plan that stuff because I tend to fly from the cuff better. It just fits me a little bit better. But so the point is, I might do 5 videos in my ride on Monday to use at different times. And I'm still doing my Road Warrior stuff, right? It's not like it's one or the other. It's either or. That's the beauty of this stuff here. I'm working from my office. As I said, I was doing text right up to when you said, Randy, I'm going in the green room running your bumper. And I go, okay, I'll see you in a minute. As the countdown's going, I'm still finishing up the text with the customer. I'll be done at 4. I'll call you, right? So it's if you just organize yourself and live it, love it, own it is a little thing that I say sometimes in closing or whatever, in posts or shows or whatever. But if you just live it and you love it and you own what you do, it's not work. It's not an effort. And it's a lot of effort at times, right? But it's no effort if you love what you do. I guess that's my being long-winded point of all that.
Yeah, and here's the funniest thing about it, you know, Randy, you could drive and eat bad food and, you know, listen to, you know, let's just say the local radio stations or satellite radio or something like that. But what you choose to do is keep your eyes on the road and have a camera running, and you're doing windshield time in the form of either making videos or you're probably listening to some sort of an audiobook, you know, and I don't even know that, but I know enough about you to know that you probably are, you know, and, you know, you're taking advantage of that time. It's no different than, I'll tell you why I work on the bumpers or the who's coming next during the time that I have you. It's not because I'm not prepared. It's because I know that we're going to be sitting there for 10 to 15 minutes, either talking to the guest or, you know, checking sound and video or whatever the case may be. And then I'm going to have that chunk of time sitting there. And so if I'm going to be sitting here anyway, as opposed to doing this, you know, while you and the guests are
Right.
catching up, I use that time, you know, as doubled up as I can. You know, I mean, and I know that
Sure.
I have the ability to do that. Now it falls into one of those situations once again where, you know, some people would say, well, I don't know anything about Adobe, you know, Photoshop. How many layers are in that? I mean, the images that we put up, you know, probably have, I don't know, 10, 15 layers of different content. Now, only a few of it changes, but, you know, they might say, well, I could never do that. I wouldn't put myself up against the wire like that, but I know what I can do. You know, so, and I also
Right.
know that while you and the guests are talking during the half hour, that I got another, you know, little bit. If I hear you say something, I'll pop it up, you know, but if you don't, and I can see that everything's going good, why not take that time to do something else? You know, so yeah, it is all a choice of who wants to be on top. If you do today what others won't, you'll have tomorrow what others don't. I mean, and that really is that's everything. That's life. That's not what we
That is
do.
everything.
That's just everything.
Right. It is. It's everything, and it has a lot to do with the concept of our show here, Wes, Building Wins. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big win builder, and I say that from a standpoint that I believe in building wins. I believe that everything. I think I've talked about this. I don't know if we've talked about it on our show here, but I've talked about it when I've been on some guesting on some other shows. My little virtual coffee table of like a stand, like and you throw wins on every day, because I happen to believe that wins don't know the difference from one win to another. Wins don't know whether I think wins have a life of their own, and a personal win versus a business win versus a sports win, a relationship win, a spiritual win, whatever your thing is, a win's still a win. And big wins and little wins, just my take, don't necessarily know the difference between each other either. A win's a win. And so you just keep throwing these wins on the pile. It could be nothing more than that. I mean, probably every 3 or 4 times a week, one of the first things I do after I get up is I'll shoot a quick message to some great customer friend of mine that I haven't talked to in a while, and something just, hey brother, hope you're doing well. Haven't talked to you in a while. Thanks for being you. I appreciate you. Something like that. That's a win for them because somebody cared about them, right? But it's way bigger win for me because I feel like I maybe made somebody's day a little bit better, or at least I communicated with them. And see, my belief, Wes, is you throw those on the win pile and they just keep compounding and growing. And at some point you can't stop the wins because they just keep growing. And that was where I know we talked about a bunch of different names for our show here. And I settled back to Building Wins Live, because I'm a believer in being a win builder, and that doesn't mean that you got to win championships every time, that you're winning everything you do, but you're just winning tiny little wins day after day, week after week, minute after minute. And if you just keep doing that,
right?
Yeah, slight disciplines. I love it. I love that word.
And I was looking around. I want to let you know I wasn't not paying attention somewhere here. I've got a fishbowl, and I keep all my little blessings and wins in it. I write it down on a piece of paper. I don't have it here. I thought I had it right here, but I don't know where it's at. But every now and again, I'll just pull it out and take a look and say, you know what, this was something that was I guess a blessing or something I want to remember. Julianne and I, when we got married, it was a Christmas wedding, and we passed out ornaments to all the tables that had what would be a tag, for like a gift, and everybody wrote on them. So every year we get those out and we read them. And what's amazing about it, and sad, is that there's many people that are on that list, that are in those ornaments that aren't even with us anymore. So we've got this blast from the past that we're able to read, and sometimes it makes you laugh, sometimes it makes you cry, but they're happy tears. But if you take the time to do it digitally in the form of some sort of a Evernote or a simple text or something like that. I see someone that is mutual to us is Jeffrey Gittimer. It's not uncommon for him to take a screenshot of the screen. He did it with one of my quotes today. And so it's just something that if you take that little time to recognize that, if you're feeling just a little down, or you're feeling bad for yourself, or whatever the situation is, you'd be amazed when you look at one of those. You're like, you know what am I doing? Feeling bad. There's somebody out there on bended knee right now, praying for a tenth of what I am taking for granted right now. And that's what you need to remember.
Exactly. Good words. And you're right. Positive. Well, Wes, anything else today you want to talk about? I appreciate you filling in today, which, as I mentioned pre-show, there's one thing about having a pro like you, and also just a great buddy, and a brother is that I don't get particularly worried if something, a snafu with a guest, it's going to happen when you're going to do lives, right? And but we'll try to get Tom on another day, and because he's got some really good things. I was blessed to be on his and Mark Gasser's show. I was up for a segue, and but a few weeks ago, and I think he's got some good things to bring to the table. But anyways, my point is, it's always a comfort level to have you there in the background pulling all the strings. But you and I could always probably do an hour show about once a day together, and have plenty of stuff to talk about. And so thank you for doing double duties today.
You're most welcome.
You know,
I would do it 8 days
I'll
a week, brother.
I'll buy an extra hot dog Monday night.
Condiments are optional. Is that what it is?
Optional. Yeah. A word I never say in public, because you can only imagine the word that usually I say wrong. Which I've done that before. And, do you have any? Well, I'll say it. Do you have any condiments? And and it's always some older lady that's serving you, and you're going, oh, okay, sorry. The words sound
That's
too much
great.
alike for me. So, well, awesome. So, well, Wes, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it as always. And I'll see you Monday night. We'll probably chat for a second off show here, or off air. But thanks for some words of wisdom as always. And if you want to pop it up, and I'm catching you off guard, but if anybody wants to reach out to Wes to get any help in doing any of these kind of things, Wes does a whole lot of social media stuff for me now in conjunction with these lovely Wes Jules, who I'm going to meet Monday night for the first time. She may tell Wes to get rid of me after that, but anyway, WesWyatt.com is.
She may get rid of me and go with you.
Good things about. I'll try to back off the suave and debonair just a bit, okay? I'll try to.
All right.
I'll wear a dirty shirt. How's that?
Okay.
But reach out to Wes if you ever need anything in this world of virtual. Just as long as you don't steal Wes's time from me. That's all I got to say.
That's right.
But Wes, thanks, my brother. I appreciate it. You're the man. All right, buddy. So next week, we're going to have Mark Gassert. Mark loves to talk about being from the peachiest place in America. He's Peachtree Center, Peachtree something in Georgia. Mark is an umpire. He's a podcaster. He's a sales trainer, and he's an all-around great guy. I love Mark, and he's going to be on next week, and we're going to chat all things sales and sales training and anything else Mark wants to get into, because he and I could probably go for an hour chatting about the world of sales. It's something that we both have a big love for. So I think you'll enjoy it next week. So 3 p.m. next week. Don't miss Mark. Until then, remember to live it, love it, own it, and go make this your best day ever. Until tomorrow. Cheers, all.